makes sense. You have to farm and bring food to the market. You understand all of that. But then there's all this other confusing signals coming from something like this. And when I did a little, I remember I read something years back in around Freudian kind of dream interpretation. And one of the things it says, a lot of times the unknown stranger in the dream is the father. And I was trying to think, how would that affect this, especially the small boys' dreams? Is where, if if you were sitting on the analyst's couch, it would be clearly this boy would have dreams of being terrorized by something chasing him in his dreams, but very high up, very tall, and that's all he would recognize. Something terrorizing him in his dreams, and a very unknown stranger in his dream terrorizing him, but having this strange dimension of being many feet above him. And I think I think that if you take that, if the psychiatrist had known that, if the analyst had known that, what like these cues, if you just maybe if you do give the analyst some pictures as from your childhood, important moments, what were he would see those stilts, and he would be looking inside those dreams every time someone was high up, and they didn't know who the person was. They would think father reference. And the same you could have with the mother. Maybe the mother likes to knit. And knitting, again, is like this kind of extension of the human, the human's physical abilities to, your fingers, you can't really move the yarn, so you create these sticks that create a more uniform motion and allow you to, do something amazing like knit a sweater. And it'd be very interesting if that was somehow, a trigger, that you'd see in the dream where you feel someone is making an article of clothing for you. Oh, that's probably my mother in the dream. And then if the person was making a article of clothing, but it seemed they were making it much higher, and it was chasing them while they were making this, that could be one where you have the mother piggybacking on the father, chasing the child in the dream while she's making him, let's say, some socks or something to something to help them in the farming culture here. It could be some kind of bag or satchel. It could be that. But again, these would be interesting things that I think an analyst would want to know. I think it would help them with their work. But also one thing I was thinking about, and just now let's kind of move from the Freudian discussion to just this whole idea of extending your senses, and this, it's very interesting. The more you kind of fit yourself for the job, for the circumstances, you create a interesting dynamic, because this man has many years of muscle memory of walking, with his feet on the earth, with his feet shoes touching the earth. Then in this place, he's temporarily kind of suspending all of that learning he's done all of those years, and to be in a situation where he can perform this action, this hops farming, this part of hops farming. And what's interesting, I look at it, he's gained something, but what has he lost? And if you want to look at some of the things that you lose when you like get on stilts, like if he were to catch on fire, your first instinct is to drop and roll. If that were to happen, he would be in a panic. He would go into this kind of innate drop and roll, but it would feel very strange, because it would be kind of a long drop and roll, and then a roll, a very confused roll, because you got the sticks at the end of the thing, making it maybe hard on the hips. And there's just, I can just start adding to that. Things like tying his shoes, crouching would be off limits. Dancing, he could only dance from the waist up. It would be kind of like, Elvis in the 50s, they used to film Elvis from the waist up, because it was too provocative to show him dancing from the waist down. But here, this would lock it in. If you could get Elvis on stilts, they wouldn't even have had that problem. They wouldn't have had to film him from the waist down, because he would be completely at the mercy of the stilts and not be able to make those kinds of moves. And then clearly things like, I just came up with a quick list: running from foes. He's in a vulnerable situation. Things like parachuting. If he would want to use a ladder now, it would be very hard for him to use a ladder while on the stilts. So I guess this, these are the things that came to my mind when deconstructing this photo. I think we learn a lot about ourselves. I think we learn a lot about, and here, I think a lot in the familial structure. I think you see the beginnings of modernity here. The more tools we use, the more we abstract ourselves in here from our family. You see a lot of aspects of the modes of production. Here's the master-slave dialect. Here's the master on the stilts, teaching the children, the slaves in some respects. I know it's a harsh term, but it is indoctrinating them into this cult of hops farming. You have the child. He's like a, he's still in that feral state. When you go back and read, something by Rousseau, where he talks about the feral child, the child of the wild, a child. Even you think Romulus, Remus, they were raised by wolves. This child it's very similar. He's at that critical point where he's trying to decide between civilization and then his natural self, finding his natural purpose. There's still that familial love of his father. He recognizes this debt of taking care of him, and he wants to grab onto his father and show that affection, but he can't. He's almost saying, let me do what my brother and sister are doing, so I can keep up with them in the competition. But I still want to show my father, the affection that I love him, but I can't hug his leg. So he's learning a lot here. I think maybe the stilts in this case are actually helping